Hello, this is a factory tour in Factorio, of course. This is the first playthrough that I've done. Started back just before 2.0 released and Space Age and all that. This is my first time playing Factorio through, so there's no Space Age included on this current playthrough, and then there's also no mods. Just essentially the base game, mostly played on 2.0. And yeah, so what we're going to go through today is just looking at essentially there's nothing left of the first base that I made. It was a complete wreck, as most first bases are, and it got completely overwritten by the second base, which then pretty much took me to launching a rocket, which I recently did. And once I launched a rocket, I essentially wanted to keep playing, but needed a new goal. So yeah, the new goal was make the factory a whole lot bigger, and I'm starting that process. Not very far along in it, but what you'll see today is essentially the finalized mid-game base factory that I had for essentially beating the game, and then I'll showcase a little bit of what I have been working on for upscaling that significantly for the third factory, the third rendition. And that one's more focused on automating the rocket launches and automating the satellites to send up there and getting space science fully automated so that we can do infinite research. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting right here because this is actually, I think, the one remnant of my first base, this Roboport right here. What I do recall from the first base was that there was a wall right here between these two cliffs, and I had a lot of turrets here with actually like an automated or a belt line of ammo that fed these turrets. And I had the Roboporters here because it was like the first location that was just getting hammered by biters, and if I remember correctly, there was probably a nest somewhere up in this region. It just kept slamming us, and that's the first spot we were getting hit with the first spot they were hitting them with pollution. So they just really hammered us right here and here, maybe a little bit down here. And I set up a Roboport to repair these walls and the turrets right here. So yeah, this is it. So the starter patches were right here. Of like, I think copper was here, coal was, or iron, copper, and coal were like kind of lined up here, and we had a whole mess of a web stretching out this way, and it just got completely overridden by the new base. The transition point there, I think we made it about up to which science did we? I think it was purple science we got automated, maybe. Which is the one? I think we did blue science. Yeah, we got blue science, and then purple and yellow. We just it was not feasible with that starter base. I think we got up to here, and it was a mess. So kind of reset and start over. Particularly, we ran out of iron. Completely ran out of iron, so we had to reformat things, and so that was the big, overall for the first iteration. We actually took this little almost land bridge here, and found a massive, at the time I think it was a 6 million ore patch or 7 million ore patch down here. Set our first locomotive, and that was a ton of fun setting up locomotives to automate, retrieving this ore from a mine down here and sending it back to the plant to use. And this, this fed us for a while. It's still feeding us, to build our current third iteration. This little area here we kind of boxed in because at a certain point with a copper mine being down here and a iron mine, and we even had our power set up over here. We'll walk over there real quick. We had each of those walled in individually, like you see that one. But it just got real weird. This used to be walled in too, but we were just getting hammered with biters. This is a steam operation here, steam power operation, boilers and steam engines. But yeah, so this outer wall wasn't here, and the biters would make nests in here and then just constantly hammer these guys. And you know, we were handling it, but it was just a bit repetitive to constantly see alerts for getting hit down here. So I pushed them back, set up another iron mine here to essentially increase my throughput. Yeah, this is like a little automated power setup. You know, you drill, send the coal up here, and generate steam. And that's not what we're using anymore. We turned off this power. It's kind of there as a backup now. I could always turn it on. I want to say it generates like maybe this much, but you can see. Yeah, we'll check out the nuclear power plant, but it can generate a lot of power right now. Even I think it's at half capacity. But I think the steam engine power plant here would generate about this much for us, about 70, 80 megawatts, which was fine for the first base for the most part. We ran into some hiccups where we kind of had to keep extending it down. So that's kind of like this bottom continent that we expanded into to kind of get some raw resources, power, and eventually had to like wall off. I don't think I did it in the most effective way. We kind of used some natural land contours here to protect ourselves, but yeah, the protecting individual outpost thing kind of works for a little bit, and then it gets a little out of hand, especially if you have a power plant creating a ton of pollution and you're mining a ton of raw resources. You generate a ton of pollution. And let me tell you, we were going through iron. That's why we have 2 trains set up here. This was the first locomotive, like I said, locomotive operation we automated. And this wasn't how big it was initially. We didn't have these beacons in here. But, you know, we had a sizable furnace installment here that just pumped them out. I think we did 4 lanes of iron, 4 lanes of copper, and that did pretty good. Ran into some snags. I'd say one snag that I then, you know, added another train to, but at the end of the day, I think it's just you're overdrawing for 4 columns here. Is the steel needed for where is it? The steel needed for green circuits here and here, and the steel needed for iron, or yeah, these steel plates, right? These guys, steel plates. So if you were drawing from both your, you know, your circuit production lines, so like red and blue, and green's all firing, and you had the steel running to make all your like there's sciences and there's some warfare stuff that needs it, and some just infrastructure stuff that needs it. Yeah, I think you double draw for some of these columns here, like this one, and I don't know. There's definitely like this one and this one here. Yeah, these 2 are the same column. Yeah, and this one and this one here are the same column. Does not go well. You really thin this out. So for my next, I don't know how I'm going to set up my next factory, but definitely want to have that solved better so you can just pump out these green guys and probably do, we did 2 here, but you could do 4 of these easy. Yeah, so that was our iron setup. Our copper setup was a little behind. We did it just because to kind of match, and you know, drew a little bit, ran out of our starter patch later, and set this up, and we only ever needed 1 train for this. But yeah, that's our kind of raw resource setup there, and then we got pretty much immediately into green circuits, building a bunch of odds and ends, automating, your fast belts and your faster belts, and then pipes, inserters, yada yada, all got automated. Here's a fairly large green circuit thing that we tacked on, and then the steel up here, which probably needed more vertical stacks. Yeah, so I'm gonna skim over some of this stuff. This is our sulfur area. We create sulfur over by the oil processing, but then here we're making sulfuric acid for blue chips, and then here we're taking that sulfur and turning it into explosives, which we kind of fudged over to the munitions depot. This is a train that comes from our nuclear plant, which we'll get into, but it takes sulfuric acid for mining, and it takes away uranium, brings it back here, gets a little closer for the robots to then take it up to our munitions area. Here we have purple science, super convoluted. I don't think it's a great setup, but is what it is. You're slamming rails, furnaces, and productivity modules. Productivity modules are actually up here. We kind of had to go this way a little bit because we needed red for these guys, red circuits, and we only started making it up here, so routing it back around was a bit of a mistake. Here we have our military science plus of all our ammunition crafting here. So red ammunition, then we kind of siphon it off for some uranium rounds, which we're still kind of chipping through here. Oh, we need a red. Wait, I never set up. Oh my. Wait, why did I never? What is this? Oh, I'm requesting. I'm requesting this, but I never actually set it up. Why don't we just do that? I don't have those anymore. Blue guys. So there we go. Okay, now we can actually generate some uranium rounds. I haven't really set up a use for these yet, but we will. Yeah, but then you have rockets, which we spam with this guy. And you have artillery, which we haven't really set up, but these are very awkward. One per slot is crazy. But I do want to set up artillery because it's absolutely badass. On this side, yeah, like I said, red circuit generation. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Reds seem to always have issues, and maybe I'm overstating it, but yeah, the green circuits sometimes run dry, and then yeah, I think we want to pool from more than one column. So it's like we should have probably pulled from the second column here, routed it around and split it in half, but I think I did that on something else. Oh, like up here, we'll see it. Because it's just a green supply from one. This is too much, too long. I can't even see how long it is, but yeah. Red science, green science, super easy. Did it up here close to the laboratories. Those are your starter sciences, and then you get into making stuff for robots, and which I forget which science this is, yellow or purple. Not purple. What's the other one? Yeah, it's for yellow. Right. Yellow science, low density modules, and low density materials. That's also for the rockets, and then you can see here we got our electrical engine setup with the lubricant piped in. All our robot stuff is here: batteries, roboports, robots, frames that we send over to the science, generate the yellow science. Here's some more advanced infrastructure stuff like the bulk inserter and the tier 3 assembler and a beacon. And then over here you got like our artillery and train stuff. Train stuff and nuclear stuff here too. And this is where it pretty much ends, and we route a bunch of stuff to the rocket here, the rocket silo. Launched one with a satellite, kind of waiting on the 3rd edition of this place to actually automate these rocket launches. I think this current base can handle one at a time, you know, like kind of saving up, hitting one at a time. But I don't think it can do automating these satellites and spin them out at a reasonable pace. I think it would just be kind of counterproductive. It would just be too slow. You'd have, you know, you can see we started research, but didn't really get anywhere. Okay, so real quick we'll look at, yeah, this is our lab here. This is our cargo pad to get space science back, and this design works fine. I think this is what, 5, 10, 15, 17-ish. It's fine. Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about that. Over here we have oil processing, and I actually just learned that this is not a great way to make oil, especially now, because you can see in 5 seconds we craft 45 petroleum and that's it. But with the advanced setup, you craft 55 petroleum in 5 seconds with heavy and light oil. Definitely in my next attempt we'll do this a lot better, because literally, and the balance was so off with this. I mean, we use this for plastic, sulfur, and fuel, and lubricant essentially is our 4 outputs, main outputs from this area. But my solution for running into imbalances was just add more tanks. You just tack on more tanks and free up some space. Yay, fixed it. Not really, so need to think this through a little better. This is coal liquefaction, just using it to burn up wood and get some extra heavy oil. Here's some artillery wagons that we were using to clear out the area for the expansion. This is our new oil drop-off, which I'm pretty happy with. Multiple depots to drop into. One thing that I've been learning about is like, hey, you can name locomotive groups, train groups, and so they'll share the same schedule, which is just so cool. So right now I have 5 oil transport trains, and what that'll do is means 5 of them will follow this schedule, and that's slick. You also just, if you name the train stops the same, they'll know that, okay, there's 5 drop-off points here. It'll go to the open ones. You can see red, 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 green here. So if we had another train in the system, it'll come through and drop off here. If not, it'll wait here. Yeah, there's a little space there to wait and then leave. The other thing that's cool is they'll go these oil fields. There's multiple of them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, right? So I think how it'll work is that these guys will pick an open one and go there just automatically, because they're all named the same. I'm using that with our ore processing or our mining for ore as well, which is gonna be cool. But yeah, so that's our oil setup, and then now we're kind of getting into the design of the new base, the new factory, and this is where one cool addition that I have here is a fuel depot for the trains. So that's automated. Let me see here. This guy interrupts. New thing, I think, relatively new thing in 2.0, but you can interrupt your train based on like a condition. So this train here will go to that fuel depot when its fuel is less than 5, and wait there until it's fully fueled. And then you can just apply this to a bunch of your trains. All these trains have it, so they'll be doing their thing, and if they run low, they'll just reroute to here. It'll add a temporary stop and come here. We have 1 set up for long trains, 2 set up for long trains, 2 set up for short trains. We can add more here if we need to, and we just have some requester chests here that have rocket fuel in them. So yeah, super cool. Don't have to route rocket fuel to all the stops to make sure they're always fueled. I think that's a big win. I think from here what I'll do is just kind of use the remote view to survey the rest of the area. So essentially with the third rendition of this factory, we put the initial walls are kind of here. We kept all the biters like right around here, and then we had some outposts that were walled up in their own tiny homes here. with defenses, you know. And then the biters were kind of free range all up and down here. What we did after we launched the first satellite, um, is pretty much just push them back. Set up a bunch of um, defenses. Like we had some artillery outposts here and there, but used a Spidertron essentially and just rocketed them into non-existence and pushed the walls back to these kind of semi-choke points. They're not like that's a nice choke point there. Some of them, you know, we send a little bit to capture some good resources here. There's nice oil fields here. There's not much up here, but it's fine. So yeah, push them back and set up walls with minimal defenses, and it's been pretty effective. You know, it's just a simple setup like this. Wall, some laser turrets, some routing, or if there's oil nearby, we'll definitely use the oil, you know, flamethrowers, because we have oil. Yeah, so this has been pretty effective because we've gone silent a little bit. You know, our pollution super low right now. The most it is down here with the mines, but up here, you know, not much is going on. So these guys aren't getting pestered at all, and they don't really attack unless they're trying to expand into my area, which is pretty much what I was trying to prevent. So all in all, it's fine. Push them back, just gave me room to expand. I don't really have a huge strategy here. I guess the first thing we captured was a huge mine up here and started setting up large train depots to pick this shit up. So going with a 2 locomotive, 8 cargo wagon setup for these massive mines. It's like a 13 million copper mine. You can see a train here. This is for the iron mine, but yeah. Set these guys up, and then the other big change was using two rails to go travel opposite directions. You can see actually in the first train track that I set up, there's a massive choke point here where it's just one rail that goes both ways. We'd get like trains running head on to each other, like at these intersections. I kind of had to obviously set up a loop to avoid that. And it worked fine. This worked totally fine. You just set up some signals at the start and end here, and it's all good. But going forward for a big ass network, I wanted to have 2 lanes. Where were we here? We're up here. 2 lanes that meant you could. It does make it so much easier to plan out too. Like if you know you're only going this way, the rail signaling is so much easier. You just have to think about this and this, not this and this. Definitely recommend having 2 for any sort of complex rail system or large scale rail system. But yeah, so I kind of set up this standard build here where you can just copy paste and extend your rail system, extend your electrical range, and then your road reports too. So your logistics and construction you can expand. We're actually doing a little bit of work right now, right here. Oh, actually, they might have completed it. It's almost done. So like this whole rail system was built automatically. Essentially, I ghosted it all, and then they've been filling it in since, which is kind of cool. Just have a few power poles left to put in, and then the whole system's done. We can essentially what this does is give us repair ability to go and repair little dings and dents that happen when biters come through. So also we can supply artillery up here, which is the other thing I'm thinking about doing is, you know, having an artillery drop off and just, you know, keeping them at bay. Yeah, so where was that? Yeah, new network of trains. Trains are just so much fun to set up, so that's why I'm doing it. This is a waiting depot here for the copper processing. So we have furnaces here, and my thought process is, you know, see how this goes. This is a fairly large stack of furnaces, but it can be expanded this way. And then with the way that we set up these train stops, if I just name another train depot this way out in the middle of nowhere here, I can set up more electrical furnaces, and they will. And if I set up more mines, like I just set up a line down here, if this guy can't go to the other one, then he'll go to this one, the secondary one that we have, and this will output output plates, and we'll pick them up. So like here's, I don't have any visual on this, but there's at least a start of an idea here to put in a train that picks up the copper plates, but I don't have anything after that. Oh, here's another copper mine that I have set up. So you can see how, yeah, we're naming these, putting these all in the same train group. We're naming all the train depots the same. So essentially you can create a lot of drop-offs, a lot of options, a lot of room for expansion is my thought process. I don't have a good plan for how much what the scope of this thing is, you know, other than like automating space science. I don't really know how to back calculate how much ore you need, or plates for that matter. So we're kind of trying to set up a flexible system that can be expanded upon once we know what we're limited by. I think the main, you know, production area is going to be in this arena here. We're going to obviously grab these resources as necessary. But yeah, the only other thing that I didn't really talk about was, I think, the nuclear plant. This is where our power is right now. And yeah, nuclear is great. Do this as soon as you can. The power output is insane compared to your other methods, and it's very clean. Like, look at the pollution it's making. Not much at all. But yeah, I don't know if this is an optimal setup. You know, I definitely don't. I don't think you need this many centrifuges. I kind of just took it down to using 2 right now, and I took it down to using 1 assembler for the fuel cells. At some point, we'll need to route in externally sourced uranium ore, but this is gonna last us a little while, at least this initial patch that we have. Yeah, and then you can see a lot of fuel cells generated. These are the reactors. I only really have 2 running, and everything's plenty hot. Generating, I can add more steam, probably steam stacks to this. Probably get away with it. But yeah, so that's the nuclear plant, and that's pretty much what's gonna power our whole thing here. We can obviously expand upon this if necessary. So that is the factory so far. Right now we're in the early stages of creating the 3rd rendition. The automated space science, I think, is the goal. And that was our mid-tier base that got us to the rocket silo and the rocket launch. So yeah, that's what I've been working on for a little while now, and hope you enjoyed it. All right, thanks.